Hello, welcome to Hidden in Plain Sight. This part of me is Agent Green. I may not look like Agent Green because, well, we're wearing pink, but a different part of us styled the hair tonight, so it is what it is. Not particularly a fan of it myself, but we respect each other, each part of us, and do allow other parts of us to express ourselves. And tonight I had a few things on my mind lately related to the government. I'm gonna adjust my camera here. I'm trying not to be noisy because other people are trying to sleep, but basically I have been noticing that there is a lot of arguments and different sides taking place with the government shutdowns and the loss of food stamp benefits and all this different stuff. There's a lot of people that are trying to push for protests and petitions and signatures and all this stuff, trying to be heard and trying to get the government's attention to the problems that are surfacing through all of this. And well, if you can't catch on, I am called Agent Green, and so that means that this part of me was a government agent for the government and the military. I have since found out that the person that I used to call the colonel is actually my biological father, and he was in the military. He was one of the top people in the military, and he military trained me as Agent Green, and I was used by the United States military and government officials, and in many cases I was sold to a lot of different government officials internationally as well. I am not feeling comfortable going any further than that, but that is to say that because of what I have experienced as being part of secret government programs and being mind controlled and military trained, I know a lot of insider secrets and insider information. And one of the things that I can and do feel comfortable sharing with all of you is that the government only gives you an appearance of having a voice. They only give you an appearance of hearing you, an appearance of a democracy. They are still doing whatever they want. And in many cases, they are doing really, really terrible things in secret. And more times lately, they are doing it more out in the open with some of the more I guess because of the elaborates of social media and AI, if you can understand what I am implying there, related to the person that's appearing in charge of the United States. See, that's another thing. With a lot of government officials and a lot of leaders of this country and other countries around the world, they are kind of pawns to who's really in charge, and they are basically the cover-up face to take the blame for all the stuff that the government is doing behind those people. they get some perks and benefits, the big fancy houses and the money and things like that, so they don't mind being the face of and the target of all of the stuff that the government is doing. So, to be honest, voting, petitions, protests, none of that matters to them. Talking the ear off of government officials isn't going to change what they do. They're still going to make those decisions. They're still going to do whatever they want, and it is not in your best interest by any means. And I know so many people want to say, well, women fought and died for the right to vote. No, they fought and died for the right to appear like they have a voice. And through that fighting, they suffered and died and were tortured and all this stuff. And it's not the first and it's not been the last that women have been trampled on and destroyed and silenced. Okay, so it didn't really change much. Being legally allowed to write your name on a piece of paper that the government just throws away or burns, so what? It's not actually a voice, especially if you look at how they do the voting. First of all, they encourage you to go behind these curtains and to keep your voice, your voting voice, and what you vote for silent and quiet and to yourself, because they don't want anybody fighting or arguing or whatever. But by keeping your vote to yourself, you're never catching on that they aren't really listening to you. Because if everybody actually shared how they voted, or especially what they voted against, and if they found out that more people actually voted against something that the government decided to push through anyway, then you would recognize and see that they're not really listening to you, and that you're actually just have the appearance of a democracy, and you're really in a dictatorship. So the voting system doesn't work. It's not actually you being heard. You're not actually picking these people. They've already picked these people ahead of time. It's all staged. It's all theatrics, okay? It's like the Wizard of Oz and the wizard behind the curtain. They don't want you to see what's really going on behind it, and that's why they put up the curtains. They don't want anyone to see what everyone's doing, so they can't connect the dots, that they're not really doing it. They're not really hearing your voice. They're not really heeding your concerns. I mean, look at them. They have allowed people to have government assistance and food assistance, and now they're taking it away to control people, to manipulate people. If they really cared about people, they wouldn't be taking away their access to live. Okay? They wouldn't be taking away a basic need as food for those that actually need that assistance. But they are, because they want to control you and they want to mind control everyone. And that's why I am sharing these things, because I am breaking out of how I was mind controlled by the government. They don't want me sharing these things with you. They don't want me sharing the knowledge that I have on them with other people. But I am finding it really frustrating that so many people are wasting so much energy, so much spirit, I guess. I don't know how else to describe it. They're channeling their energy and they're following the flow of the wrong spirits into these debates, into these arguments, into these drama things, and then they're channeling it into protests and petitions and voting and proclaiming that those things are going to change things. Things haven't changed. They haven't been changing in a good way for a very long time, because they're not really listening to you. I mean, yeah, they're changing, but they're changing in terrible ways. And I guess in some ways I can say the good of how things are changing is that they're finally bringing into light what they've been doing in the dark, which is whatever they want, and ignoring you. So I guess in a way you can count that as a good thing, that they are doing that, and it is frustrating, and I don't like it, and I hate it, and I am very grieved that they are continuing in their wickedness. I'm gonna take my glasses off because it's the glare here. Sorry about that. So, yeah, it's frustrating, and I'm angry about it. But I'm also angry that people aren't waking up to what is really going on, and that they're just holding near and dear to their right to vote, to their right to their voice, to their right to their petitions and their protests and all that stuff. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be heard, that you shouldn't have a voice. I'm just saying that you're wasting your energy and your voice by trying to yell it at the government. You're wasting your energy and your voice in a way that is equivalent to how in Jesus' book he says to not throw pearls to the pigs. Well, when you throw your voice and request justice from the government and ask for them to, do something about what you want them to do about it, you are essentially throwing the pearls of your voice, of your heart's desires at them, and they are trampling on it because they don't care. They don't care. They're not going to wake up to your pleas, to your cries. But there is one that does listen. And I never knew of who Jesus was for the longest time. All I knew of my life has been government training and military training and taking orders and being told what to do and not really having a voice or a choice or a say in what I did or how I lived my life. And so I wasn't really, this part of me was unaware of there being a God or Jesus or any of that stuff. For my entire existence, it was just not a part of my military training. It was not a part of my government training. It was not a necessary information or thing to be told about by those who were in charge of me. And so when I came forward here at my safe place now with my new chosen family, I learned about someone named Jesus. And, because I haven't had the greatest experiences with men, I didn't really know what to think about Jesus and God, since I was told that they are male, and that Jesus came to earth as a man, and he's in heaven now and stuff like that. And so I didn't really know what to think about talking to him or going to him with things and him actually caring, because no man has ever really cared for me. All they've ever done was be very mean to me or order me around or basically treat us like a soldier. And so they were not very kind, and they were not very gentle, and they were not patient or loving, and they certainly didn't listen. They didn't care if I was scared or sad or didn't want to do what they were asking me to do. and I wasn't allowed to actually voice any of that with them, even if I wanted to. It was part of my military training to kind of try to shut all of that off as much as possible. But it doesn't mean that I didn't feel it in my heart when I was experiencing it. It just wasn't allowed to come out of me. And so, when I started learning about Jesus and getting to talk to him and getting to share all of the things that the main people and the colonel put me through, and he actually listened, and he didn't get mad at me like they would. He didn't punish me or tell me that I was bad or hurt me or anything like that, you know? And when he would respond to me, I hear him as a thought, as a voice in my head, which I know sounds kind of weird, but it's kind of like, almost like your mind is like the, telephone between you and Jesus up there. At least that's how I've kind of viewed it. And so I've had to learn his voice, and as I have learned it, he has been very kind and gentle and patient. And he desires to hear my cries, my desires for justice and for change. And I do believe that when he does return, he will change things. So, I guess I'm making this video because I'm encouraging all of you to stop wasting your energy yelling at men that are deaf to your cries. Stop crying out to people that are ignoring you. And maybe consider trying crying out to Jesus. Maybe he'll be kind to you too. Maybe he'll be patient and gentle and want to fight for you. He has been showing every part of us that he wants to fight for us, and that he wants things to be different, and that he has a plan for things to be different. I don't really know all of those plans, because they're his and not necessarily mine right now. But, yeah, just reconsider where you are directing your energy, your voice, and your spirit. What spirit are you letting lead you in these ways? And if it's leading you to ask a man for justice who's not going to give it to you, then maybe you need to consider what spirit you're following. Things are going to get tough the more the government is mean in more public ways. It is going to just get worse. I truly do believe that. And so it's best to just try to do what you can to help yourself become self-sustainable, help your neighbors become self-sustainable, share with each other, work together, and cry out to Jesus as you ride out the storms ahead, because it's just going to get worse. It really is. And wasting your resources on petitions and protests is not going to change things. Wasting your time and energy on phone calls and social media spats and drama is not going to change things. And if you can't see that the current man in office is not going to change things, he is not going to save you, then I don't know what to say there, to be honest, because it saddens me that there are people out there that still believe he is good, or he is some sort of savior for this nation when he's not. I just hope that more people will begin to wake up and see and do something that they can do. I know that it's not easy right now with food prices going up and stuff like that. Resources are very limited for a lot of people, but it's certainly not going to make a difference to drain yourself with all of this drama and the division and the arguing and the fighting tooth and nail for to try to save the nation somehow. It's just not gonna work. But anyways, I thank you for listening to me. There's a lot more that I could say and share about what I know, but I am not feeling led to share it. So it's okay to be sad about how things are. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be grieved by the state of things. But maybe try to bring some of that emotion to Jesus and ask him the best way to deal with it, because the ways of this world isn't the best way to do it. It's not gonna work. So I'm not saying don't feel what you're feeling. It's okay to feel that way, but just try to evaluate how you are expressing those emotions and how you are acting on things, and whether or not those are helpful, healing, productive steps or not. Okay, well, even if this video is a bit impromptu and might not be the most flattering camera angle, but I'm making do with where I'm at right now. So this is me, Agent Green, and so thank you for listening on Hidden in Plain Sight. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.